What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. Today we'll be creating a Saas hero section in Framer. So we'll be focusing on both design and conversion optimization. For those who don't know me, I'm Pablo. I do websites and landing pages for service businesses with a particular focus on conversion optimization. So basically transforming your visitors into clients. So for today's video, I prepared already a few elements that you can see here. So we have a logo for navbar. Just decided to select the logo Ipsum logo, and then I decided to pick also a trusted by component, also a shadow component for the background, and then a simple picture of a dashboard because that's what you would typically find on a SaaS hero section, right? So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So the first thing you got to do is you got to transform your desktop breakpoint into a stack, right? You want all the elements to be properly spaced, properly sized. So you're going to select layout here, then you're going to click on the vertical direction and distribute to start. That's the first thing you got to do. So we're going to start with the background. This particular component was made by Kai Bedford. His links are all in the descriptions. Make sure to check him out. He has some pretty cool stuff on his website and on his Twitter. So let's place this into our parent stack. Now what you got to do is you got to set this to fill to make sure it fills the whole parent stack. And then here we're going to select viewport. Now what's important with backgrounds is you got to change the position to absolute. Why? Because if we try to insert, for example, text on top of it, the position will change. They will basically push each other away because that's how relative spacing works or relative positioning works. So here we got to make sure we select absolute. Then we're going to pin it left and right. Make sure it's 0 everywhere so it stays in the same position. So this is the first step. Now the second step is going to be to create a stack on top of it where we're going to place our elements. Now I don't want this shadow to be in my hero stack, so I'm going to place it on top of it. And then here we're going to make it a stack, click on layout, remove the fill, and that's it for now. So what we're going to do first is we're going to work on the navigation bar. So as you guys know, I like to do that first always. So we're going to set this to 1200 to make sure it fills the whole breakpoint. And we're going to copy the logo. We're going to create a component. We're going to call it navbar. And we're going to paste a logo in there. Now, I'm going to increase the size a little bit. Make sure that you lock the width and the height so that there's no distortions in the picture. And you're going to do it like so. Create a stack again. Now we want to add a few buttons. We're going to add 3 buttons, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create another component, navbar button, and we're going to maybe call this service. Oops. I'm going to call this service. We're going to create a stack again. We're going to click fit content for everything. Remove the fill because we have a white background, and now we're going to create a variable to make sure that we can change the name of the buttons without having to add separate buttons. It's a bit faster than doing it manually. So we go here into text content, create variable, plain text, call it title. On the text area, select yes, and that's it. So what we can do now is we can click fit content, We're going to create a stack to put all our buttons together. And we're going to do it like so. You copy paste it 3 times. Now we have service. We can, just for the purpose of this example, call this testimonials. And then here we can call it, maybe, I don't know, FAQ, just for the example. Now we're going to select fit content here again, fit content, and we're going to increase the gap to about 16. I think that's pretty good. Now we also want to include a CTA button here. So we're going to create another component. We're going to call it CTA, and maybe we can write down get started, something like that. we can increase the size of the text slightly to about 20. I'm not sure what the sizing of these elements are. Let's see. Yeah, it's a bit too large. We'll make it 16. That's better. And then here we can make this 20, right? Again, create a stack. Set it to fit content without some padding because this is a button. We'll change the fill to black. So we're gonna have to change the text to white. Maybe you can increase the weight to medium just to make it more visible. And we can increase the radius to maybe something like 8. Make sure again here it's fit content, and then place it within your navigation bar. Now what we can do to separate the elements is just click on space between. That way all our elements will be spaced between each other. Now what can happen sometimes is that, as you can see here, the buttons are slightly tilted towards the right or the left. Now to avoid this, you've got to check out the width of the elements on the outside. So this is 130 pixels and this is 165. So we'll decrease it to 130. You can also add a frame around it and increase the width of that one and remove the fill. You can do that also, but just for this example, I'm going to do it like this. Then I'm also going to reduce the height to maybe something like 70. I think that's pretty good. And I'm going to remove the fill since we have a white background. We don't need any fill. Again, you fit content and that's it. And we're going to place a navigation bar within our hero stack, maybe somewhere here. Correct. So you place it within your hero stack. Let's rename this real quick. I'm going to put my head here. I cannot rename here. Hero section. So it's going to come into your hero section, okay? Now, in my hero section, I want to make sure that the navigation bar is obviously at the top. So I'm going to select direction vertical and then start. And that way it should be, as you can see, at the top. Now, I'm not entirely satisfied with the padding of my navigation bar. So I'm going to go back into it and I'm going to add some padding at the top. Maybe something like 12. Bottom as well, we can add some. And then here 24, 24, and that's it. And that way it looks slightly better. Perfect. Now we're gonna insert another stack for our headline. So we can make sure this is a stack. We can rename it to I don't know, hero header or hero elements. Call it like this for the sake of this example. Now we want to make sure that here we have a headline. So create amazing website, or we call it amazing Saas website in Framer. Perfect. Now we're going to make this black, bold, or semi-bold, maybe it's better. And we're going to increase the size to 52, just to make sure that we have here a very visible headline, right? So what we're going to do then is we're going to copy paste this. You got to make sure that, again, the direction is set to vertical. Now we can, something that I always recommend, and I didn't do it now, is to lock your background, because otherwise it's going to start moving or you're going to select it. So like this is much easier, right? So make sure to always lock the elements you don't want to move or you don't want to select. Now we're going to select here regular. We're going to make this 24, and then we're going to insert something like create Saas websites that convert your visitors into clients. Perfect. Right. So you can set both of these for responsiveness to fill. Now you're just gonna have, if you set it to fill, you're gonna have to align them like so. And that way it's going to be much easier if you, for example, have other breakpoints to adjust the positioning of those. So now what we're going to do is we're going to copy our button. So you go on the Assets, CTA button, and you're going to drag and drop it. And then we're going to select our social proof for more conversions, and we're going to place it also in here, like so. Now make sure to increase the gap to about 16, just to make sure that there's enough gap between all the elements. Now what you can do, I'm not going to do it because I want to keep the video short, you can usually bring the headline and the subheadline closer to each other than the rest, because these belong together, right? So yeah, with that being said, make sure to click Fit Content. Here you can select Fill, and then we gotta make sure that we add some padding here at the top. So we're gonna add maybe something like 60, just to make sure it's a bit lower. So otherwise it's too high. Let's see. Yeah, it looks pretty good. All right, and now we're gonna select our image. I'm gonna place it in there, and we can, I already changed this before, so I just kept it like this. You can obviously change the max width and all that stuff, but it looks pretty decent. I also added, I forgot to mention this before, I added a border because I tried to do that before, and I set the opacity to 30% as a general rule when it comes to borders, when it comes to card colors, etc., etc. I recommend always reducing the opacity to between maybe 30 and 50, because there'll be less contrast with the background color and it just looks a bit better. So I just added the border here because obviously it's a white on white background, so it wouldn't really be that visible. Now what you can do is you can select the whole thing, and you can increase the size or the gap, sorry, to maybe something like 24. Something like this. Yeah, that looks pretty okay. Obviously, you could improve it, but for the sake of this example, I think it's pretty clear. It's a pretty simple landing page. You could improve it obviously quite a bit, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave me a like and a follow or subscription. I would really appreciate it. And if you a service business looking for a landing page or website, whether that be roofers, plumbers, lawyers, lead generation agencies, UGC creators, etc., as long as you're just selling a service, make sure to check out the links in the description and book a call with me. Thanks.